Don't ask me why, I just sort of felt the need to have people listen to the epic intro music, because it is actually pretty good. So, when you have a whole bunch of different Pokemon playthroughs that you just, for some reason, can't find the motivation to finish, how do you fix that? Clearly, we just start a new playthrough. Because why the hell not? To be fair, though, when I first found out about this hack, Pokemon Crystal Clear is what it's called. When I first found out about this, I was pretty much sold, because this is the first feature of it that I saw, was just being able to pick whether you start in Johto or Kanto. I don't think there's a whole boatload of differences between which one you start with. Obviously, you start in a different town. And I think the way the Elite Four and the Champion are formed is a bit different. I think it's like the last guy and the Champion are different depending on which region that you pick. But there's not a whole lot of differences. It's not like you're going to be locked out of either region, one region if you pick the other. And we'll find that out over the course of the playthrough why that is. I mean, I could just say it right now, and there's no reason not to say it. This game is actually really interesting in the fact that it is an open world game. Also, it told you to pick a gender, but I don't think it's actually consequential in any way, shape, or form, because 2 of these player characters are male and the other 2 are female. The CH Chris and the Red are the male ones, the other 2 are females. I mean, contrary to what you might see here saying green, it is actually like the female counterpart to Red, so I guess that's meant to be like Leaf before Leaf existed. I'm gonna go with Red because I'm just old school like that. Also went with Kanto because I'm old school like that. Figured I might as well give him the blue color palette here, just because I kind of like this. I've done a bit of messing around with this ROM hack yesterday, which is when I found out about it. I can't remember the YouTuber who was doing like a LP on it. I think it was like a Nuzlocke of some variety. I can't remember their name offhand. I'll probably put it somewhere in one of the blank spaces on either side of the video as you're seeing it. But I was pretty much sold when I just saw the opening animation and the choice of region. Anyhow, could go with Red Star. Doesn't really fit here considering my character is primarily blue, so I'm gonna go for a really stupid name here. No, we don't want the B. Yeah, because he is blue, Dubba D. And if I had a rival, I would name him Dubba Die, but there is no real set-in-stone rival in this game. Just because the game is so open world, you can pretty much go wherever the hell you want right from the word go. So, anyhow, here are your starter choices. About as standard as you can get. You've got your Kanto starters, you've also got your Johto starters, and you can get Pikachu, and you can get Eevee, and then you can just get Psyduck. So, we've been through the first 8, now here are the other 16 choices that you have. Slowpoke is kind of interesting. Seal, I actually picked Seal during my first like little mess around test with this ROM, and it's actually pretty good. It gets Headbutt and it runs off a pretty decent attack stat, so it can actually kind of wreck some house if you pick it first. Growl is pretty cool. I mean, you got to get a Firestone in order to evolve it, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, like with, as this is open world, you can grab a Firestone really easily in this and just evolve it quickly. Not that you would want to, you'd want it to get some more moves and be decent before you evolve it. Houndour was a decent pick. Ponyta, I'm not too sure about. Voltorb sucks. Porygon, like having a Porygon as your starter is freaking amazing. I would have definitely gone with this had I not been using a Porygon 2 in Ultra Moon. But it would definitely have been awesome. Pichu, on the other hand, has no point. I don't believe there are any moves, like new moves from 3rd generation onward in this hack. I'm pretty sure there's not any new Pokemon. So there's no real reason to go with a Pichu other than to have a Pikachu with Sweet Kiss, I guess. If Nasty Plot was a move in this, then Pichu would actually have some kind of point. You could give this thing Nasty Plot and then evolve it into a Pikachu. But without it, there's literally no reason to go with Pichu. You might as well just go with the Pikachu, get a Thunderstone and evolve it as soon as he gets Thunderbolt. That's pretty much how that's going to go down. And for some reason, you just can't choose Clefairy or Jigglypuff or any of the other evolved forms of these babies. Although, to be fair, I mean, only Jigglypuff and Clefairy would even make for decent enough starters. All the other ones are a bit strong. Maybe Togetic, but having a fully evolved Hitmon as a starter might be just a bit much. Same thing with Jinx, Jinx, Electabuzz, Magmar, that sort of thing. So you can go the Fire Red Omega route if you want and pick one of these. I'm not going to, though. I'm going to go all the way back. And I'm actually going to go ahead and stick with Seal. The reason for that is because a lot of these starters I've already used in playthroughs. The only ones I haven't used are Seal, Slowpoke, and Psyduck. I could use a Slowpoke, but I'm probably going to end up evolving into a Slowbro, and it doesn't evolve until 38, I think. So I'm not too keen on having it be in its base form all of that way. I could evolve it to a Slowking, but I plan on using Slowking in Virtual Console Crystal whenever I get around to doing that. So we're going to go with Seal. Seal has proven itself to be a decent choice in that little test run I did. And then here's your little I don't even know what in the hell this is, but we'll go with it. So there you go. Default item pack color, it's completely inconsequential here. You can just modify these in the options menu. And then the time is actually 4:30 in the morning. My sleeping schedule, as you might expect, from time to time does get to be a bit fargo. It is Monday. It's a public holiday, which sucks because I'm waiting some Pokemon cards in the mail. Never DST in Queensland. For some reason, it's just the only eastern state that doesn't observe daylight savings time. I had a read of this. It's a bit of a long story, but I'll probably explain most of it as we go through this game. First thing it does do, though, is ask you to save the game immediately upon commencing. And then you are given your starter Pokemon. And then we can give it a nickname. Okay, so we're going to go with the referenceception here. Thankfully, I didn't have to worry about the gender of my seal, because this is pretty much a gender-neutral name. It's a really dumb name and shouldn't count as much of a name to begin with, but I can't remember if it was Jish or Joel who had a dugong named Advent Back. So what we're going to do is we're going to name this one Advent Forward. It is the dumbest goddamn thing ever, but I very much enjoy it. Now, okay, I've got to get used to these controls. I used to have WASD as my movement controls, and then like JKL and stuff like that for AB and whatnot, but I got really uncomfortable doing that, so I've moved the directional buttons to the number pad to the right, and now WASD is around about where I've got all the buttons and stuff like that. So here we can see my Advent Forward is holding a Never Melt Ice. This won't be very useful until it gets up to somewhere beyond 13 or 14. I'm going to run off the assumption that this thing is still sticking with its Crystal Learn set, which means I'm pretty sure it's not going to get another move beyond these two until 16, I believe. But it will be Aurora Beam, which will get a benefit from the Never Melt Ice. Running off it, it's not the worst special attack. I mean, it's a level 5 Pokemon, so you can't really tell much. This setup, though, I mean, it's got max attack, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I can't really complain too much about that, to be fair. They are not terrible DVs. Nice little feature there. I should probably go back to the start menu and point out I've got a potion, I've got a Pokeballs, I've got the Pokedex and the Pokegear. So none of this sort of intro sequence of stuff like that where you go to see a professor and do all that stuff. You're just thrown straight into this game. So we'll go and see Oak anyway, just because why not? Blah da blah da blah da. Yeah, well, I've got my own starter. Because I, for some reason, have a just a random starter ball that I lobbed at a seal that just was chilling out outside my house. Even though that makes next to no sense. So before I move on, I should probably mess around with the options here. Set that to fast, set that to stereo, because I kind of just like that. I like the sharper edges on this one, so I'm going to go with that. I'll check out the next page once I've shown this off. Yeah, you just mess around with this PC and it just randomly adds the Kanto starters to your Pokédex scene. And then when you actually have a look at the Pokédex itself, you'll find out that these starters are uncounterable in the wild. So, that's a nice little feature to have. Hold the B button down, you've got like running shoes sort of thing. The walking animation does not change, unlike in Pokemon Prism. Not that it really matters, but I kind of like this better, to be fair. And you'll notice we have immediate access to Route 21, so let's go ahead and have a look and see what we can grab in the wild from here. Hey look, it's frickin' Rattata. Not the most interesting thing in this game, I should point out. I believe you can find Tangela here, which would be an interesting early game grass type if you didn't pick a grass type starter. But as I mentioned earlier, there's nothing beyond Gen 2 in this game, which means there's no Tangrowth. If Tangrowth was in this game, I would certainly be capturing this Tangela and adding it to the team, because I've not used a Tangrowth before other than that random little bit in towards the end of Heart Gold where I caught a shiny one. But here, Tangela is not going to be very useful for me, I don't think. So I think there's a few other useful things you can catch down there. I'm probably not going to care that much. I believe it is possible to get all 251 Pokemon in this ROM hack, so I might go for that. I'm probably not going to go for a full living dex though, I'll just try to see if I can get 251 caught. So let's head up to Route 1 here and have a look and see what kind of fare we're going to come across here. For the most part, it's not really that different from what you would expect. So like on Route 1, you'll find something like a Sentret, or Rattata, or Pidgey, or stuff like that. So in that regard, it's not hugely different. But later on, you'll find that there's a few little unique additions into certain areas. Like, I believe there's a pretty unique Pokemon in the Viridian Forest up ahead, which has been basically copied ad verbatim from the red, blue, and yellow and just stapled and just pasted into this. So, because in the original Gold, Silver, and Crystal, they just didn't have that. They just had like a really short, shitty version of it and just sort of made it not have the gates and just be a separate area like a cave or a dungeon or anything like that. And now whenever I'm looking at that name, I, for some reason, immediately think of Fuhukugads. I don't know why I think of Fuhukugads, but just seeing the way I've spelt forward there just makes me think of Fuhukugads. I might have to name one of my other team members Fuhukugad. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see what happens. That is indeed a trainer, which I do not want to fight quite yet. I just want to get up to Viridian City and just sort of mess around and show a few things off. And ideally not get harassed by Rattatas, because that's just completely unnecessary. I do have a fast forward button on this. I'm actually using a different emulator for this playthrough called MGBA. It was recommended by a few people on one of the Discord groups I was on. It actually works pretty well. It's got a rewind button. So, just in case I decide to change my mind and capture the Sentret, yay, I'm back here. Pretty cool. But obviously I'm not going to change my mind and capture a Sentret, because that would be very, very stupid. But in the situation where I just somehow don't notice that I found a shiny or something like that and I accidentally run away from it, then I've got the rewind key to take me back. I've got it set to a limit of 1200 frames back, which I believe at the rate of 60 FPS is around about 20 seconds. So that should be more than enough time to go back. I've also got fast forward, so I think I mentioned fast forward and then rewind, so my brain does not want to work for me today, it seems. Nor does my throat. Good lord. Anyway, in Viridian City now. In the Pokemart, we can grab your usual stuff. Start with the same amount of cash stack, just to 3k. So I'll probably grab maybe 5 more Pokeballs. Grab those. And probably just mess around and see if there's anything that might be interesting to me. Which, now that I think about it, if we go over here to Route 22... for some reason, if you are lucky enough, you will just find Fearow in this grass. Like, level 7 Fearow. It's pretty good. And I believe if you head up towards Route 2 up here, this grass coming up here just has Butterfree in it, so you can just grab some fully evolved Pokemon and just kind of just start kicking some ass immediately. They might be pretty useful to bring with you, especially since you can just walk straight into this gym and challenge the leader. Because this is set as a Gen 2 game, of course, your leader will in fact be the Lord of all Trolls himself, Blue. So you can choose to challenge him now, you can choose to challenge him later. That's pretty much the beauty of the open worldness of this ROM hack. You can get all 16 badges, but to challenge the Elite Four, you only need 8 of them. And they can be any 8 that you want. And you can choose to challenge this one particular gym as the very first gym of your playthrough, or as the very last gym of your playthrough. It does not actually matter. The game is designed to basically scale based on the amount of badges that you have. So it's probably not the best idea to go and fight every single trainer in the game that you possibly can without getting any badges, because they will, for the most part, have a whole bunch of maybe level 5s at most. So, probably not the best idea to do that, but definitely a good way to just sort of balance out the amount of trainers that you knock over, just so that you are not grossly underleveled for a certain gym or just the Pokemon League or anything like that. Alternatively, you could just grind off of wild Pokemon the entire time, grab 8 badges, and then beat every single trainer in one of the regions to grind yourself up to a point where you could well be over-leveled for the Elite Four and just sort of smash them for 6. There's no really wrong way to play this hack, and that's kind of what I like about this and why I decided to give this a bit of a crack. It is for the most part blind, but at the same time I have enough knowledge of the Johto and Kanto regions where it's not like gonna be too terrible. So let's have a look and see what else I can find in here. Obviously Spearow. If you can find Fearow, then obviously you'll be able to find Spearow. And given the fact that I can find Fearow in this grass, I'm obviously not going to catch a Spearow, but at level 5, I don't think it's a terrible idea to give this thing a couple of headbutts and knock it out. Assuming I even can... Okay, cool. It used Growl a couple of times and decreased my attack power, but thankfully I was able to get through that. So, I'm about 20 minutes into the segment. I could cut it off here, but I figured I might as well, just before I end, show off a couple more things, just in regards to options and little features in this hack that you have access to. And then I'll probably go and catch some stuff and sort of show off what I've gotten in the next segment. So, if we... What have we got? D. Okay, so... there's actually a second page for the options, and this is actually really awesome. You can actually set stuff to go through fast. So, for example, fancy encounters is basically just encounters as you normally know them. The screen flashes, it goes black, the wild Pokemon comes across the screen, it sort of appears, and there you go. Set it to fast, then the screen just immediately goes black, and then when picture comes back, the Pokemon's just there ready for you to fight. It's a lot quicker, and it's probably better for people looking to shiny hunt, because then they can get through their encounters a lot more quickly. And when you run away from one, instead of having the dialogue box say got away safely, it just ends the battle. If you can't escape, obviously it'll say can't escape, but that's an entirely different thing. The nurse, you can set that to quick as well, and the nurse, if you set it to quick, it just removes all the dialogue from the healing process. You just talk to the nurse, she'll just take your Pokemon, heal up, she'll do a little bow to like farewell you, and then off you go. She'll even turn you around so that you don't accidentally heal again and have to go through the process, which is really, really nice. Continue. These little sections, I think they're like if you set it to quick, then whenever you turn the game on, if you've got a save file, you just start right where you left off. No title screen, no introduction, none of that sort of stuff, which is really awesome, and you can just set that there. I don't know what last flown means. Yeah, I have no idea what last flown means. I haven't gotten that far in the game yet, but I imagine it's probably something of benefit. So I'll back out of that and we'll save. And then here, we can just change the music, which is really awesome. And you'll notice, these are all 8-bit versions of different kinds of music, which is actually really awesome. Obviously, we wouldn't do that for the Johto Wild, but it's pretty cool. And you can actually go with the base red, blue, yellow music. So just because I can, let's set all of this applicable stuff to red, blue, yellow. With the one exception being this, because this is probably going to be the best thing regarding the music choices in this entire game. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And in addition to that, you can choose to set the music to most of these to just none, so that you don't have to play them at all. Which is really awesome, because if we go back, we can just set the Kanto trainer to just play no music whatsoever. Oh wait, no, it's the Kanto leader. Yeah, you can just set the Kanto leader to have no music whatsoever, and just sort of play your own epic music in the background. I'm not too sure if this translates also to Elite Four Champion. I'm not 100% sure about that. I've obviously not gotten that far in the game yet, but it would be cool to just have no music for the champion, so you could just play your own epic music over the top. It'd be pretty cool to say the least. But for the time being, just stick with the good old red, blue, yellow. I could just do that, which sounds a bit better, but I'm a bit old school like that, so I'm gonna stick with this one. And then, I think the only other things to show off are the Pokegear, fully unlocked with Bill's phone number. Nobody else's yet. I don't know if you can even get any other phone numbers. I assume you can, just because maybe there's still some swarms in this. It's, for the most part, just a building on Pokemon Crystal, just making it open world. So, I imagine there's probably still some swarms around somewhere. And with the radio card, you have full access to channels, which does include the Poke Flute. So there is in fact a Snorlax in this game, and so as soon as you reach the area where the Snorlax is, it's Vermilion City of course, then you can just throw down the Poke Flute and encounter the Snorlax. I'm not entirely sure if it has a set in stone level or if it too scales with the amount of badges that you got. When I encountered the Snorlax in my test run, it was level 10. It could well maybe just be level 50 if you have 8 badges before you fight it. I'm not 100% sure. But hopefully I'll have some fun playing this, and hopefully you'll enjoy watching this playthrough as it unfolds. But for the time being, I'm going to cease recording here, and next time we will have some kind of team, and then also make a decision as to whether we're fighting blue or not. So, beef jerky? I don't know. Go and watch Shash.